Question 4a. Outline Prophet Amos' teaching on social justice and responsibility. Oppression of the poor. The people of Israel sold the poor for a silver or a pair of shoes. There was corruption and bribery. That is, legal injustices were taking place in courts of law. There was excessive luxury. The rich were being greedy. False sense of security. Cheating in business. They tampered with weighing scales. Overcharged on goods that were sold. Robbery and violence. There was disintegration of rule of law. Idolatry. The Israelites worshipped other gods or broke the commandments of God. There was also sexual immorality, or we can call it temple prostitution. The Israelites had agreed to pagan practice of prostitution in the places of worship. Question 4b. Explain 4 differences between Old Testament prophets and traditional African prophets. Old Testament prophets were called and received their powers from God, while traditional African prophets received their powers through inheritance and from the spirits. Old Testament prophets were both teachers and preachers who taught people about God's will and gave sermons, while traditional African prophets confined themselves to predictions and warning. Old Testament prophets did not practice divination, whereas some traditional African prophets were diviners. Some Old Testament prophets had an idea of glorious Messiah, whereas traditional African prophets did not have any concept of the Messiah. Old Testament prophets stressed on monotheism, that is the worship of one true God, whereas some traditional African prophets recognized and worshipped many gods and goddesses. Old Testament prophets had their prophecies recorded and preserved in written form, while traditional African prophets have their prophecies preserved and passed on through oral traditions. How do Christians play the role of prophets today? By living prayerful lives, by living exemplary lives, helping the needy, by condemning all forms of evil, preaching the gospel, guiding and counseling people on various issues, interceding for others before God, by giving messages of hope, by participating in making right laws. Question 5a. State 6 symbolic acts used by Jeremiah to teach about judgment and punishment. Wearing of yoke, buying new linen waistcloth and hiding it in a cleft of the rock. Jeremiah was not to marry. The reworking of the vessel by the potter. The breaking of other flasks before the elders. He was shown 2 baskets of figs, one with good figs and another with bad figs. Give 7 reasons why Nehemiah carried out religious reforms in Judah to preserve the identity of the Jewish people, to protect Jews from foreign influence, to purify the temple which had been defiled by foreigners, to restore the services of priests and Levites, to restore tithing system for the upkeep of the temple, to ensure Sabbath is free from business activities, to restore true worship of God, to cleanse Jews who had intermarried with foreigners. What lessons do Christians learn from the renewal of the covenant by Nehemiah? Christians should seek God's forgiveness. Christians should lead a righteous life. Christians should lead a prayerful life. Christians should lead a humble life. Christians should teach others about the Word of God. Christians should set aside a day of worship. Christians should respect places of worship. Christians should share with the needy. And Christians should read the Word of God regularly. Question 6a. Give 7 moral values acquired during the marriage ceremony in traditional African communities. Faithfulness, respect, courtesy, hard work, hospitality, perseverance, love, cooperation, humility, honest, integrity. State 7 roles of ancestors in traditional African communities. Blessed the living, protected their families against calamities, warned the living against impending dangers, rebuked those who disobeyed the instructions, safeguarded the traditions of the norms, mediated between God and man, punishing offenders, were invited in ceremonies to encourage people, assisted specialists in their work, welcomed the dead to ancestral world. Give 6 conditions under which divorce may be allowed in traditional African society. Laziness, that is if the wife is lazy or one of the spouses is affiliated with witchcraft, breaking taboos, disrespect of the in-laws, unfaithfulness, failure to pay dowry, in case one is discovered to be a thief, in case one suffers from madness, leprosy, or epilepsy. Did you understand? Kindly let me know in the comment section below and what video you want I do tomorrow. Thanks a lot for subscribing and listening to me. God bless you.